I'm very happy to be here, guys. I love being in Australia. Congratulations to you all on being Quillette supporters. I've been supporting Quillette since like the end of 2015, I think, back when the way you supported it was to put money into Claire's bank account. Those were the early days. Now they've got Stripe. It's fucking evolved, hasn't it? But yeah, I really like it. I think it's great. I've been following it since the early days when Coleman Hughes used to write a lot about race and culture. And if you guys haven't read some of his early stuff, it's really worth going back into the Quillette archives and reading it, because it's some of the best stuff that's been written on that topic. And I felt, living in the UK at the time, that I was hearing a lot about how racist Western society was, and I just it didn't resonate with my own experience, right? So I wanted to kind of find some people who seemed to agree with me so I could see that I wasn't mad. And that was where I found Quillette. And, and Claire was publishing people that really couldn't get a look in anywhere else. So it's really nice to see how far the magazine has come. So I'm really happy that we're all here to celebrate that.
Our last social in Melbourne was cancelled at the last minute due to a staff member feeling unsafe. And with Jetstar cancelling our flights from Melbourne, I learned a valuable lesson, which is never go to Melbourne. So 9 years ago, I started Quillette on my couch. I just dropped out of my forensic psychology master's program, coincidentally, and I needed a project to work on. I also had a toddler at home called Eric, and this morning I was watching Eric read an article on our website about Hezbollah. He's now 11, but that's how long I've been at this, so a little while. In the early years, Quillette's success was immediate. There was a great hunger for the content, for the essays we were delivering. We filled a gap before Substack, before the free press, before Unheard even existed, before the words woke or cancel culture had ever been mentioned. But success brings challenges, especially when you're trying to learn business, finance, tech, management, and journalism on the fly. And we've also faced some bizarre attacks. In 2019, I was named by the Columbia Journalism Review as one of the world's disinformation villains, alongside Putin's chef, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, and Q of QAnon. My crime? For publishing academics who queried and pushed back against orthodoxies. Quillette has never been about defending left-wing or right-wing dogmas. We're not a propaganda outlet. We're driven by curiosity and the conviction that no one has a monopoly on the truth. This stance has earned us pushback from all sides. During COVID, the YouTuber Tim Pool called me a Nazi and accused me of defending concentration camps in the Northern Territory. Our website has had malicious denial of service attacks. I've been defamed in print in Australia and the United States. We've been banned from too many subreddits that I can mention.
Wikipedia.
Oh, we're not allowed to be linked to on Wikipedia because we're not considered a reliable source. But I'm happy to report that we're still here and we're not going anywhere. We cover topics long before anyone else had the courage to touch them. Our North Star has always been editorial integrity. We don't take shortcuts and we don't chase clicks. We're a small team, but our influence has been large. But what I'm most proud of is the community that we've built. And we're just getting started. With Iona's narrations, I hope you've all heard Iona's narrations. Yes. And with Zoe's hard work on our YouTube channel, which you should all subscribe to, our essays and message are reaching audiences wider than ever before. So just to let you guys in on a secret, my goal is not to scale up and sell. My goal is to build an institution that will still be here 100 years from now. If you'd like to help us, there's a QR code around on different tables which you can scan, and you can become a paid member tonight. If you're already a paid member, thank you. You're contributing to what Steven Pinker describes as the best contemporary journal of opinion and culture in the world. Let me leave you with a final thought. Quillette's success is about more than just a magazine. It's about how the power of ideas can actually make a difference and shape our culture. And I want to thank you all for being with me on this amazing adventure. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire.
One more time for Claire, everyone. That's great. Okay, we've just got one more speaker left for tonight, and then we can go back to talking to each other in close quarters after having eaten exclusively fish for the last hour and a half. I think we're all excited about that. So our final speaker for tonight is the managing editor for Quillette. She's brilliant. I've been following her, not in a creepy way, since before she joined Quillette. She's one of my favorite people whose articles I can read online. Please put your hands together and welcome Iona Italia, everyone. Iona, where are you? Oh, unorthodox as always, coming up this way. Fantastic. Very good. There you go.
Thank you. Can people hear me?
Yes, but
Okay.
speak more into this.
Speak more into
Yeah,
like
that's
this?
good, yeah.
Okay. Tell me if I start fading out.
I will.
Sorry?
I will.
Okay, thank you. This may be the only time all evening that you're able to hear me, because I do have an extremely quiet voice. So if you feel that I'm leaning really close to you, just to be clear, I am being creepy. It's not because otherwise you won't be able to hear. But the side effect is that you will also be able to hear me. So I'm not very good at speaking off the cuff, so I'm going to read. But as you can see, it's only one page. Our intern, William Barker, once described Quillette as a great debunker of orthodoxies. I think this is a very apt description of what continues to be the magazine's most important role, debunking. That debunking doesn't always involve criticizing mainstream opinion. It's important not to be a knee-jerk contrarian, because sometimes the mainstream is right. But it does mean a willingness to take a closer look at any narratives that have become popular, whether on the left or on the right, to be committed to trying to the best of our ability to remain open-minded and curious. Some of the narratives we've recently pushed back against include the claim that 215 Indigenous children were buried in unmarked graves at Canadian residential schools. So far, several years after the scandal broke, not a single grave has been found. The idea that Israel is committing a genocide in Gaza, rather than fighting a war against a terrorist group cynically determined to maximize civilian casualties on its own side. And the idea that most sane people find quite bizarre, but which is strangely influential in academia and in government, that the human species contains more than two sexes. It is especially important to push back against all those who are settled and smug in their opinions, who brandish credentials instead of making arguments, who want to stop people from coming to conclusions that might be politically inconvenient or troubling, or hurt people's feelings. And especially against all those who are arrogant enough to think they are experts in what is true. Censors and busybodies, enforcers of speech codes, misinformation czars, committees and commissioners, and everyone who wants to control what people say and think, and who would rather police than persuade. This doesn't mean that we are only reactive. You can't be simply fighting against something. you need to also fight for something. We are classical Enlightenment liberals, and we believe in the two linked core Enlightenment values, free speech and free trade. We shouldn't take these freedoms for granted. Our writers have defended liberty against totalitarians and tyrants of every stripe, from the Ayatollahs of Iran to the repressive regime of Xi Jinping and the revanchist ambitions of Vladimir Putin. And they have argued in favour of human ingenuity and skill, from Megan Gafford's writings on the value of beauty and craftsmanship in art, to Robert Zuber and Stephen Fleming arguing that we must and can settle Mars. But above all, we need to be guided by a desire to first find out what is true, what the facts are on the ground. It takes courage, but it always takes courage to write and publish. My favourite journalist of all time, Samuel Johnson, nailed it when he wrote in his daily publication, The Rambler, on the 5th of February 1751. He that writes may be considered as a kind of general challenger, whom everyone has a right to attack, since he quits the common rank of life, steps forward beyond the lists, and offers his merit to the public judgment. We are indeed stepping forward beyond the lists, and people are always thrusting their lances at us. Actually, on second thoughts, I won't go any further with that metaphor. But people do get upset when you question their deeply held convictions, expose their hypocrisies, or throw their sacred cows onto the barbie. And we do serve up many such bovine delicacies medium rare. For all this to be possible, we need to encourage people to read, not just because reading is educational, but because reading is life-enriching. I've especially loved many of our articles on art, culture, and history. Cathy Young's immersive account of the events of 9 Thermidor, a turning point during the French Revolution. Greg Coable's detailed multi-part history of early Canada. Kevin Mims' detailed history of the ghoulish classic The Amityville Horror. Marilyn Simon's celebration of the eroticism of A Midsummer Night's Dream. And finally, it's one thing to be brave in paper or online, and it's quite another to forge friendships and connections in real life with people with whom you can openly discuss things and be honest about your opinions. That's the other important thing about Quillette. We are a community. You may disagree with some or many of the things you read in Quillette, and with some or many of the people here tonight. But what you can count on is that we respect your right to hold and voice your opinions. We want to hear what you really think. We don't expect you to pay lip service to anyone or anything. We welcome robust debate. As Christopher Hitchens said, we should seek out argument and disputation for their own sake. The grave will supply plenty of time for silence. We're none of us infallible. We're going to be wrong about things. But what we offer is a safe space in the real sense that phrase should have. A space where every idea is up for grabs, and you can think aloud among other people who value that freedom. Thank you so much for being here.
Give it up for Iona, everyone. That was great. Okay, that is...